Hey everyone, this is Laura Gdenek with Laura Gdenek Astrology, and I'm here to give you the astrology for the week of July 6th through the 12th, 2020. Okay, so there's not too much that happens in the beginning of the week. The first major transit we have this week starts on Wednesday, July 8th. So we have, where is it? Oh, here we go. Mercury right here, making a square to Mars and Aries right here. So remember, squares are aspects between two planets. They are 90 degrees away from each other, and they are filled with tension and strife, challenges, and conflicts. And Mercury is still retrograde, as you can tell right here. And so Mercury retrograde in general is about thinking things over, rethinking, reviewing, reflecting, maybe being a little confused about what you think about something. You know, it's also about delays, setbacks, things not working, miscommunications, not being understood, not understanding another person, not being able to express yourself, especially in the sign of Cancer, which is ruled by the moons. The moon, the planet that rules over our emotions. This could be about, you know, having a lot of emotions, but not really knowing how to express them to other people or to verbalize them. So just keep that in mind. And with the square to Mars, Mars is the planet of war and conflict. And, you know, this could be a time where you have verbal conflicts with other people. Some tips, you know, expressing emotions, possibly in an angry way, or possibly expressing emotions that have been pent up or that you've been repressing or that you haven't fully been able to communicate or express. You know, this is the time to air grievances, to, it could be, you know, it's gonna be stressful because that's the nature of a square. So it might be that finally you verbalize something with a friend or with a partner or with anyone that you've been holding back or repressing or not wanting to express or being too scared to express. And all of a sudden it just comes up out of nowhere, and you know, it feels a little abrupt or disruptive to your day. But the thing about squares is that they need to happen. You know, this could be a time where, you know, finally you get to clear the air with someone, and finally you get to express yourself and say and speak your mind and say how you feel. And even though it's a little bit scary, ultimately it could, you know, it's for the better, right? It's ultimately it will be helpful. And now this also really depends on your personal chart and your personal nature. You know, if you're someone who is really soft-spoken, you know, someone who doesn't speak their mind, someone who holds themselves back from getting into conflict, from, you know, speaking to what your emotional needs are, I would say this is probably beneficial for you, because this will give you the oomph and the confidence to actually stand up for yourself, speak your mind, you know, clear the air, get those things swept out from under the rug if you have been avoiding things, avoiding conversations with people. So, you know, it could be very positive. Now, if you are a person who is naturally very expressive and fiery and who is very confrontational, be careful, because this could be a time where you really hurt someone's feelings, where you say something in too much of a direct manner, or, you know, you're too honest, you bring up conflict when in kind of a harsh way, when you could do it in a softer, more gradual way. So just be aware of that potential. And this is actually going to be a theme for the rest of the month, because as you can see, okay. Mercury, as I go through, is, he's still moving backwards. Mars down here is still moving forwards, but they stay in pretty close proximity to each other. It kind of lightens up after this week a little bit, but then come the end of the week, or end of the month, excuse me, you can see Mercury has stationed direct and is moving in a forward motion again, catching up to Mars down here at 12 degrees Aries. And so that's kind of the whole month, is Mercury kind of chasing Mars, until finally there's another exact square at 16 Aries and 16 Cancer on July 27th, which is, the end of the month. So that could be another pinnacle or peak to the same conversation that you might have with someone coming up on Wednesday the 8th. So this is kind of how the story evolves in astrology. It could be the same conversation, a similar one, or the same conflict with another person. It could be a different situation, but usually when a planet goes retrograde and makes an aspect and then turns direct and makes the same aspect in direct motion, it's kind of like the same story is coming up, but with a resolve. So if you do end up getting into a conflict with someone, a verbal conflict, airing grievances, and things don't go very well, you get another chance. And that second chance happens at the end of the month on the 27th, when Mercury makes that final square to Aries. Yeah, and then you can kind of see, we're at the very end of the month, July 31st, and Mercury is finally over 3 degrees away from the square with Aries, so we'll feel some relief. And if you are a Gemini or Virgo person, whether you have Gemini or Virgo sun or rising sign, this is going to impact you especially because Mercury is your ruling planet. And then, also if you're an Aries or a Scorpio, this will affect you as well because Mars is your ruling planet. So keep that in mind. Okay, I'm gonna go back to where we were. Okay, and then the next thing happening this week is on Sunday, July 12th, where we have Mercury finally stationing direct, meaning Mercury will start to move forwards again in a forwards motion. And this is a time where we get a chance to redo the degrees of 5 to 14 degrees of Cancer, because Mercury went retrograde at 14 degrees of Cancer, which is, like right here. And then Mercury is stationing direct at 5 degrees of Cancer. And so this will be from the time Mercury went retrograde, which was June 17th, which was a Wednesday, June 17th until Sunday the 12th. Think about kind of what you did during that time, what happened, what anything to do with communications that kind of went awry, where you were not able to communicate with someone, you couldn't express your emotions, you couldn't express your thoughts, you felt indecisive, you felt confused, or like things weren't very clear. And this could be just also like a totally internal thing, or it could be between you and another person. Or both, there's a lot of possibilities. But any miscommunication, misinformation, kind of just missing each other with regards to relationships, all of that between those two dates, between June 17th and July 12th, you get a chance to kind of go back over that same territory and redo it. This time with Mercury moving forwards, which we much prefer because it's much more clear and direct and straightforward. Also during Mercury retrograde, like I mentioned before, there's often, delays, mishaps, technology breaks down. It's just things aren't really like functioning at their highest potential. And so this could also be a time where you get those things fixed. Finally you get that like report sent in that was delayed or whatever, you know, if you have a job having to do Mercury things, that would be kind of like the post office, mailing stuff, doing any sort of communications, any sort of writing. This could be a time where if there were issues with those topics in your life, this could be where they turn around. A common thing with Mercury retrograde is if you apply for a job during a Mercury retrograde, often you will hear back from that job the day that Mercury stations direct, or when Mercury reaches the same degree in the sky that it was when you first applied for that job. So if you are waiting on a job and hearing back from a job, you should hear back from them starting on the 12th and giving it maybe a week or so. Let's see. Decisions could be reached also, particularly about family, mother, women, etc., because Mercury is in the sign of Cancer, having to do with women, family, mothers, emotions as well. You could finally come to understand your emotions or your feelings about something. Your emotional attitude could finally be understood by both yourself and others. So being able to, you know, have that heart to heart with that person that you have been not understanding, or that there's been some tiffs around, you know, this could be an opportunity to finally be understood and to understand yourself and another person. So on the same day, we have the sun. Actually, let me clear this. Okay, the sun is making a trine to Neptune over here. Trines are aspects that are full of ease and opportunity, and they're very helpful and opportunistic. And so, you know, this time on this day, your idealism might be very high, and so is your imagination. This is a great day for doing anything creative, anything involving imagination. You know, you might have a really strong desire to understand a deeper, more spiritual level of reality, because Neptune is the planet of what I idealize, what I dream about, what, you know, it's a very spiritual planet. It can also be about delusions and altered states, including, you know, not the good kind of altered states. So we want to be careful to not overdo it that day, because that's always a possibility when the sun makes an aspect with Neptune. But usually with a trine, we have more of the positive qualities coming out with Neptune. So like I said before, having high imagination, high ideals, you might really be inclined to help others on this day and to put others before you. Neptune is a planet about compassion, and especially in the sign of Pisces, helping others and expecting nothing in return. You know, and really the return is that you feel good that you helped another person. So great day to do that. Be careful of over idealizing another person, be careful of escapism, and be careful not to put yourself second too much. So, you know, it's great that we can want to help people from the bottom of our hearts and help people selflessly, but be careful not to be the martyr. That is one of the possibilities with this aspect. You know, you may feel a desire to nurture others in need, especially women, because the sun is in Cancer. And like I said before, Cancer rules over women and mothers and families. So this could be a time of compassionately helping women or mothers or family, or helping people in your own family, or helping women in your family, all these type of themes. And there could also just be a deep longing for family connections, because Neptune indicates what we long for, what we dream for, and the sun in Cancer, once again, is about family. So those are just some possibilities. So that's the astrology for the week. There's not too much going on, but the things that are going on are very important, and yeah, they're very timely, I want to say. They're important, they're big things happening, and they're things that are going to affect the rest of the month, like that Mercury-Mars square, and Mercury stationing direct will definitely affect everyone for the next couple of weeks, especially as Mercury travels back over those same degrees that he went retrograde over. So I hope this video was helpful. Let me know how the week goes for you. I'd love to know how this turns up for folks. So feel free to leave a comment. Otherwise, I'll be back next week for another update. And I hope you have a great week. Okay, bye.